Well, you know him from 12 NFL seasons, 3 rings, Brady's go-to guy. Latter stages of his career, one of the great all-time receivers in the postseason. He's also got a podcast, Games with Names, which I had the pleasure to be on. Very, very good, hard, probing questions by Julian Edelman. Very impressive.
Conversational.
Yes. So NFL kickoff rules, my thing was, okay, the intent's good. It's kind of weird looking, but you're trying to, guys like you, not get hurt. I want my players to play longer. It's weird, but it is more football. I mean, what'd you make of it?
I think it's exciting, and guys like me don't want to get hurt, but guys like me also made the team because of special teams. And it's an opportunity for 800 more plays or so, they keep on saying, for guys that are bouncing around the league, guys that are special teams guys, to have an opportunity to stay on a team. It gives guys value. It's exciting. I was watching this all last night just to see what the special teams coordinator scheme is going to be. How are they going to adjust to this? I mean, it's going to be real exciting when you see a guy like Cordell Patterson back there who has a 20-yard cushion and he only has to break one wave.
Yeah.
You know, the original, the old school kickoff, there's usually 3 waves of guys that you have to hit, and you have a track. You see how they're trying to run that track?
Yeah.
You know, here you run the track and you break through that one gap and you're gone. You know, it's gonna be a fun play. It's gonna bring more points.
I watched every kickoff.
We all watched it.
I was glued to it,
and I thought it was good. I mean, there wasn't. The tackles are still gonna be pretty tough because those guys are flying now. Usually you got a really good Matthew Slater type guy that's running down the field on special teams. That cushion's only 6, 7, 8 yards because he's a burner. These guys are having 30-yard cushions, which means you're not getting to that wave of guys, and you're getting full speed ahead. So it's going to be an exciting, fun play.
All right, so the NFL said Dolphins, Rams, Niners, knock it off. You found a loophole in the rules in regards to motion. Mm-hmm. Dolphins did it week 1, and then McVay and Shanahan saw it and used it the rest of the season. So I want to talk about this. I've said when it comes to my football coach or my accountant, push the envelope. Yeah. Look for loopholes, as long as it's legal. Belichick did this, did he not?
We did zoom and zaps, jet motions all the time. And what it does is it creates confusion for the defense at a lightning fast speed. So say it's a run play and you got Deebo Samuel jetting across the field. The outside linebacker has to pay attention to this guy for a half a second. That half a second makes that tackle be able to get up to him at the second level, and then he goes. For a pass play, you get a Tyreek Hill who, he's motioning to the outside. He's creating a natural separation instantly. And then once he gets speed and he can get going, it's tough for a defender to catch up to that. So, I mean, this has been going on for years. We used to do this all the time.
Substitute tackles or...
Hey, if it's in the rules, like you said, the accountant, you gotta get in there.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, maybe not a lot, but that Caleb didn't play. I mean, Tom actually debuted Brady at a Hall of Fame game. Mahomes plays preseason. What did you make not playing Caleb at all?
Oh, I want to see Caleb play in the preseason. I don't necessarily care they didn't play in this game for the simple fact that I've heard through the grapevine for years now that the playing surface and everything at the Canton Hall of Fame stadium is absolutely atrocious. So, I don't care about that. I do, as a player, I loved getting a preseason game, a preseason rep, because it gives you an opportunity to work out your game day operation. What time do I get to the facility? I need 2 hours to get my warm-up in. I need an hour to get an IV. I need to go over my game plan for 30 minutes. It gives you that game day operation. So once you hit a real game, you know what you have to do to get going, to get yourself mentally, physically, emotionally set for the game. So I'm sure he'll get some reps. They have an extra game in preseason. I don't mind that he didn't play in the Hall of Fame game because of the surface.
If it was a 1 o'clock game in Foxborough, do you show up at 8:35 or something like that? 8:40-ish, 8:45?
1:30. I usually like to get there about 4.5 hours before.
Yeah. So you're all right.
We'd have one meeting in the morning at our team hotel, and I go directly back to just the stadium.
So I was saying this. If you would have said when when Brock Purdy was the last guy drafted, if you would have said, you know what, they're going to bail on the number 3 pick, they're going to go with Brock Purdy, you'd have said, hot take.
Yeah.
So I'm like, be careful. Joe Milton, his last year and a half in the SEC, 30 touchdown passes, 5 picks, 65% completions, 7 rushing touchdowns. Jacoby Brissett, 60 quarterbacks played. If Brissett twists an ankle, Milton is physically superior to Drake Maye. I said, I wouldn't be shocked if he got snaps all season. What do you make about the reports that Drake is really struggling, and what do you make of their quarterback situation?
Well, what would you say right there? Physically, he's a specimen.
Oh, it's just
a specimen. But he did play at Michigan and then had to transfer to Tennessee.
But Joe Burrow transferred, so
yeah. But Brock Purdy didn't. He played 4 years, and what was his strength? It was being a cerebral player.
Yeah.
So he could execute. He can operate.
Immediately.
Which that immediately translates to the league if you can do that.
Yeah.
Now, you know, a guy that can throw 90 yards, he looks the part and everything. I mean, that's all great until you have live bullets coming down your face.
Yeah.
And then also in New England, I don't know how it is now, but I'm sure Mayo has adopted a lot of the same scheduling things with practice. You know, you have 90 guys on the team right now. So your first stringer is getting most of the reps. Second stringer, depending on situation, I'm sure Drake Maye is getting more reps than a regular second teamer.
Yeah.
And then you have the third stringers, which there's usually a designated period called the basic period for the third stringers, the guys that are trying to make the team, the guys that need to be evaluated, and they play against each other. They've seen the play 3 times. They saw the ones run the same play against the same look. They saw the twos run the play against the same look. Then they have an opportunity to go out there to show the coaches, hey, I can digest what we brought from the meeting room and bring it to the grass. So that's where this is right now. Until live bullets are going and you have a 6'6" Julius Peppers type coming right down your face and you got to make a throw. You know, this is still sunshines and rainbows.
Yeah. It was funny. You guys were very good at it in New England. Brady and Belichick, who spend a lot of time at the podium. Gronk was a little goofy, and then he tightened up pretty quick. So Patriots didn't send guys to the podium that could get in trouble. But it is interesting. Saleh, when Aaron Rodgers was in Egypt, said it was inexcused. And my take is, keep it to yourself. I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Aaron comes out this week and says, yeah, nobody told me. We didn't communicate. I wouldn't go there. I did think it felt like a little shot at Aaron, a little shot at the coach. I could be overreacting. Maybe I'm so used to Brady Belichick where you gave up nothing. But I can't see Stafford and McVay taking shots at each other. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You
I kind of saw that too. I'm still not a fan of missing a mini camp.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
I didn't like that. I have nothing but the most respect for Aaron Rodgers and his ability to play the game. But we all make a lot of good money here.
Yeah.
You know, when we're playing football, and if you can't reschedule something 4 days later, I don't understand the logic behind that.
Yeah.
And it's only making us talk about this right now.
Yeah. And
they haven't even had a snap during the year. He hasn't even played a meaningful snap in 2 years, and we're talking about all this. So, all this is doing is creating more and more distractions, which that city, New York, they love that. Page 6, I'm sure they're all, you're a New York guy, right? They still
have 4 functioning newspapers or 5.
So it's just making the situation more difficult if things go bad.
Do you know at this point, so college camps open today, I think most of them. NFL camps have been going for about a week or so. Plus you have OTAs. How long before you, Julian, looked at the rookies and said, oh, that guy can help us? You mostly have 8 new guys. And there'll be a couple free agents, some low end, some high end. But when you start integrating guys into your camp, do you have a sense like a week in, oh, this guy can't pick it up, this guy can?
Certain positions, I could see a receiver right away at OTAs if he was going to help us.
Really?
Yeah, I remember watching Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
And I remember he was an undrafted guy, former quarterback, and I saw the way he released the ball, how strong his hands were, how he never made the same mistake twice, and like early. And when I saw that, and he was able to create separation, and he still didn't really know how to run routes. Like, you can see something right away.
Right.
You get to really see it when the pads come on. So, first day of pads, everyone's a little hopped up. Everyone's all, this is war day and war daddies are everywhere.
Right.
That's when you really get to see if you have an off-season training camp All-American, or you have a guy that's ready for, real football. So it's pretty early on. Offensive linemen, you see that. We were in a very different situation where our coach would coach, Belichick would coach everyone in front of everyone. So he would pull highlights and lowlights after each practice and address the whole team in front of us. So I remember watching Rob Ninkovich.
Yeah.
And he was like a long snapper for New Orleans, and we picked him up. And I remember watching him on one-on-ones the first day of practice going against Matt Light, Matt Light was one of our best linemen.
Yeah.
For 3
years.
Super Bowls. I mean, he was stud, technically sound, strong. And Rob Ninkovich was eating him up on one-on-ones the first day we were there.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, I put him in my phone, Rob Ninkovich, white, athletic guy. Because, it was one of those things.
There's 90 guys
It's
there.
still that same thing. But, that's when you see it. When you see it against a guy with pads on, or you see it against high-level guy like a Matt Light against a new guy,
Right.
Rob Ninkovich, that's when you could start to base, all right, this guy could potentially help us. Now, it changes once you get in. The speeds get higher and higher. OTAs is fast because you've been training and it's all whatever. Then you get to training camp, it's a lot faster because you're throwing on pads. You get to play against another opponent, you go to a joint practice, those are even faster. You get to the preseason game, sometimes those are fast, but when you play against someone else, they're faster. Then regular season's a whole nother ball game because everyone's studs.
Right.
So it just continually, you get a look at a guy, and then you kind of watch him. You tag him, and you say, I'm going to watch him. I want to see him 3 weeks later because, everyone's fired up day one of pads.
Sure.
The real dogs come out, the second week of pads. That's when you see competitive stamina.
I want to say, so what year did you break in? You broke in to the NFL.
2009.
Who was the most impressive rookie in all your, because this is a big deal now. I'm watching Roma, Dunze, and Caleb. I can't wait. Your whole career there, who was a rookie and 2 practices in? Now, Ninkovich had been in the league.
Yeah, he'd been in the league.
A rookie, and you were like, oh, wow.
Devin McCourty was pretty. I mean, he was.
You were going up against him.
Yeah, we were going against each other. He was pretty good. Like, just he gave professional vibes.
Really?
He had a professional aura. The way he was in the locker room, the way he talked, the way he held himself, the way he was with his family early on. Like, he was a guy that you were just impressed with. Like, he doesn't really look like a rookie or act like a rookie.
Yeah, that's something.
Now, like I said, Jacoby Myers, when I first saw him, I saw his release game, and he wasn't even a receiver for a long time, and I was really impressed with him. That's just, those are the two that stick out in my head.
No, I think stuff like that's fascinating to me because I'll say stuff sometimes on the air, and I'll say little stuff. People that do little stuff well generally do big stuff even better.
Yeah.
Because little stuff is annoying and sometimes tedious, but it leads to big stuff.
Got to keep the office clean.
That's absolutely. So, by the way, you're going to do a pod with Bill on your games with names.
Yeah.
So you're doing John Bon Jovi, you're doing Bill, you're doing big stuff. You're going.
We don't want to.
Big names.
Yeah, big names. Right.
So let me ask you. I think Bill's going to make another run at coaching. I think he's too smart to be out of it. I said this when Sean Payton came to Fox for a year. I'm like, I remember having dinner. I'm like, you're too smart to be doing what I'm doing. You got to go coach. Bill's too smart to be sitting on the sidelines. I actually think it's an advantage Bill not coaching, getting off the treadmill, bouncing around to college camps. His son, I think it's what Bill needed. I think sometimes you're on the treadmill.
Yeah.
You don't even follow the news. You don't know what's going on. Your guess, do you think Bill makes another big run to try to get back? Because I still think he's the smartest defensive coach in the history of football.
Yeah, I do. I do think Bill wants to get back into coaching. And, I think this is a great thing for him to have a year off because when we go into the offseason, he'd always talk about self-scout. We got to self-scout. We got to know our strengths. We got to know our weaknesses. Now, if he practices what he preaches in his coaching career, then he's going to get better because he's going to realize certain things that he probably would have did differently or this or that. So and it gives you a perspective when you get to be out for a year and see it. Because I remember after I retired my first year out, I'm sitting there like, man, I wish I would have done this a little less, or I would have done this a little more. I didn't train too hard this year. And he still has, some gas in the tank where he can still go out and do things because he's a coach.
He's a great teacher.
Great teacher. So I do believe he's going to be back in the league.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.